Good morning, CPAC. We are so excited to be here with you today, and we are excited to talk about the most important issue facing our country today, and that is life. And we have an amazing panel for you today with these brilliant women, Alison Centofante and Emily Burning. Alison is the Director of Strategic Communications at Live Action, and as many of you know, Live Action has the largest online engagement platform in the pro-life movement. And Emily is the president and co-founder of Let Them Live. Let Them Live is an organization that saves the lives of babies from abortion by coming alongside women when they are pregnant and supporting them financially.
So good.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about how pro-life candidates are constantly asked the tough questions about abortion. But when it comes to pro-abortion Democrats, like those that are running right now in 2020, they're given a constant free pass on their dehumanizing and out-of-touch views. And so today we're going to discuss this hypocrisy, and we're going to talk about some of the very critical questions that people, the media, that's you all back there, the media and the voters should be asking these candidates. So ladies, so just generally speaking, what would you specifically ask the Democrat candidates about abortion?
Yeah, well, one question that is always coming to mind for me, Bill Clinton sort of coined the term safe, legal, and rare. And now that part of rare has been dropped off. So we hear candidates saying, well, we want our abortions safe and legal. And that to me is a question we need to ask, why? Why are you wanting more and more abortions? And I think that, the Democrat candidates have been completely out of touch with their voter base because 21 million Democrats actually want at least some restrictions on abortion. And so they're not really matching up with their voter bloc.
Yeah, and I think, the work we do at Live Action every day is changing hearts and minds on abortion. And so I just want to say it's really neat to be in a room full of people who actually acknowledge medical science and reality of preborn children. You need to know that even though the media may like to call you extreme for being pro-life, you are the most logical, compassionate, medically and scientifically backed person in that room. So if you encounter one of these, Democrat presidential candidates or even a friend who's incredibly pro-abortion, I think there's two key questions you need to make sure that you ask. And the one is, well, what is abortion? Can you define it? Because when we've taken that question to the streets, people don't know. We've shown our medically animated video of what these procedures are, and people don't get mad because they've never seen it. They're enlightened. They say, I have no idea. We're making federal and state laws right now, guys, without making people define and understand what this procedure does to an innocent preborn child. That's number one. So define the term. And then secondly, I would say specifically if it's a Democrat that's pro-abortion, and Emily touched on this, we as a society have come so far in educating people on abortion and the abortion industry that even young Democrat voters are moving farther towards the pro-life spectrum because they've got people like Governor Ralph Northam and others saying they're okay with abortion even after the baby's born.
Yeah.
That Democrat voters right now, 77% of them want abortion restricted in some way more than it is. That's good. They're probably not as pro-life as we are in this room yet, but they're moving that way. 77% of Democrat voters. But yet, every single one of these presidential Democrat candidates are for abortion through all 9 months. And they could come to me and say, congratulations, you're 8 months pregnant. And at the next breath say, but it's okay that there's no federal law to protect your child right now from an abortion industry that wants it and wants your money. And so that's hypocritical. It's talking out of both sides of your mouth, and that's a good question to ask. So you start saying, well, where's your line? Because these presidential Democrat candidates have no line.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Good job. So recently we saw a pro-life Democrat be told publicly by Pete Buttigieg that there was no place for her in the Democrat Party. Why have the Democrat candidates alienated such a large portion of voters?
I'll take this one. I mean, I think when you get to that point where you realize that you have blocked out people from your own party who have understood medical reality, they have concerns about how dehumanizing abortion is for that preborn child and that woman. They acknowledge that abortion takes the lives of thousands of children every day. It's hurting women and men every day. And right now, it's the #1 killer in the Black community. The CDC says that abortion kills more Black Americans than the top 9 leading causes of death in that community. So they're ready to speak up. And the Democrat Party has said, no, you can't be with us. And that's because you just, like in life, and you guys know in this room, you have to follow the money. Yeah. Who are they speaking up for, if not for Democrat voters that want some restrictions? They're speaking up for groups like Planned Parenthood, NARAL, that fund their campaigns in a big way. Now, you guys know we give Planned Parenthood taxpayer money. You know that. Now, they can't use that money to fund candidates, but when we do that, when we give them any taxpayer dollars, it frees up their Hollywood celebrities to go and fund their political action committee. And they get people here to DC that are so pro-abortion, and also against a lot of other issues that you're hearing about today, to work against us. So we at Live Action have always said, look, defund Planned Parenthood of taxpayer money, all of it, because they're taking the lives of preborn children, but also they're hurting us. They're hurting our ability to pass pro-life laws. Yeah.
And to touch on that as well, you know, Planned Parenthood is a big money business, 100%. And I also see groups in our work at Let Them Live. We actually have a mom who was offered money from the National Abortion Federation. And there's organizations like this and also Planned Parenthood that offer money. They'll give money to women to just go have an abortion. And then they'll say, that's it. We're done. See you later. Go on with your life. They don't walk alongside these women. They're not there to support them. They're not there to love them or their child throughout their pregnancy. But Let Them Live, for example, we will financially support them throughout their pregnancy. My husband and I are actually flying to California tonight to be in the delivery room with one of the moms that canceled her abortion last October. And that is pro-woman. That is what we need to be seeing in our pro-life advocacy, and that's what we need to see reflective in our laws. Loving women, loving their children, and walking alongside of them.
Yes. Awesome. So this coming week, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments in the June Medical Services v. Russo case. And this case highlights many of the very real health and safety violations that go along with abortion. In Louisiana specifically, several women, after having an abortion, left the clinics in severe pain, hemorrhaging. Many of them had hysterectomies, unable to have children ever again. How can the Democrat Party, which claims to be so pro-women, support abortion, which is clearly anti-women?
It's all about money, in my opinion, because when you have Democrat candidates that are, being supported by organizations like Planned Parenthood that are bringing in just massive amounts of money, how can you trust people who say they're pro-woman that are actually benefiting monetarily off of the abuse of women through abortion? You cannot trust ever what they say, that they say they are pro-woman, because there's something in it for them. And it all comes down to that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you'll see on Wednesday, the Supreme Court will hear these oral arguments at the Supreme Court. If you guys are still in town, feel free to come down. We know the other side of this argument's going to be there. We are going to be there as well as the pro-life movement. But the irony of this case is that the pro-lifers are the ones saying women deserve better. Even abortion-minded women that are going in to get an abortion should be taken care of. We know as the pro-life community that someone always dies during an abortion, right? We just want to make sure it's not 2 people that day. And so we as pro-lifers are advocating for Louisiana to enforce that their abortionists have admitting privileges to get women to the hospital if they need it, because oftentimes they do. But the abortionists, like you said, are fighting against this. The Democrat Party is fighting against this, saying it's an access issue. You want access to shoddy abortionists that are leaving women hemorrhaging, like you said? But the pro-lifers, we are the movement of love, compassion, inclusivity. We're going to be there for you. As you walk in, as you walk out, we are there for you because we see you as a whole person, a whole woman. And that's not how the other side sees it. They see a paycheck and they abandon you, and that's what we're hearing.
Absolutely, and touch on it as well. A lot of these abortion facilities, they love to say that they are just another healthcare provider, that they are just like any other outpatient surgical center. I think Elizabeth Warren mentioned that abortion is just like going to get your tonsils taken out. But if they're wanting to say that abortion facilities are just like other medical care facilities, then they need to live up to those exact same standards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. And I will say too, admitting privileges aren't enough. That's not what we want, right? We do not want these guys in business. There's people in a room of this size, post-abortive men and women, and we all know someone who's been touched by abortion that would say, this has got to end.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? This is the greatest human rights abuse of our time. We have thousands of children's lives being lost. You and I have talked to post-abortive women and men, even if they're angry or if they're still not healed, that are saying, I don't want anyone to have to walk through what I walk through. And that's why we've dedicated our lives to this mission. Sure, one day we should all work on other things, but right now, this is urgent. This is the biggest human rights issue of our time. It's a winning issue, too. I think you're seeing that in the States. When you can talk about this and take care of women, step up, and what you guys are doing at Let Them Love is amazing, saying, we're gonna be there.
Yeah.
We're gonna support you. In the conversations that we've had, women, post-abortive women have said, if there was just one person that took me by the shoulders and said, I'll do this with you, they would have chosen life.
Yeah, I hear that.
Right?
I hear that all the
and that's what I know we all want to be for these women.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. We've had so many women come up to us or message us on Facebook or whatever, and they'll say, if your resources were available when I was 16, I never would have had that abortion. And then they tell us that extremely tragic story of their abortion. I actually put together a book of stories of 30 men and women. It was supposed to counter the Shout Your Abortion movement, which glorified abortion. And these stories, I had to edit them and put them into this book. And every single one of these stories was of regret and pain and deep hurt 20, 30, 40 years later. Some of the women were saying that they could never forgive themselves and that it haunts them every night. And so to me, it is completely antithetical for the Democrat candidates and other, pro-abortion advocates to say that they are pro-woman because they are so anti-woman, it is not even funny.
Yes. So we actually only have time for one more question. We could be here all day. Alison, you already referenced this, but Virginia's Governor Ralph Northam, mind you, a former pediatrician, said, he said that it was okay to murder a baby after it was born if it had severe deformities. Now, this is very personal to me because my youngest daughter has cystic fibrosis, a life-threatening genetic disorder, and as of today, about 90% of babies with CF are aborted. And so, how can a party that claims to be compassionate support the act of abortion and also support the ending lives of those with disabilities?
Yeah, and your daughter's amazing.
Thank you.
But did you guys hear that? 90% of kids diagnosed with CF are aborted. It's the same stat for kids with Down syndrome. 9 out of 10 are lost to abortion when they're diagnosed in utero. And we, as pro-lifers, we know that these lives are as valuable as anyone else's.
Yes, yeah.
But we're fighting against an entity, an ideology that does put worth on people based off of their productivity and their perfectness, and that never has led anywhere good in history, right?
Yep.
And so we've had people reach out to us with disabilities saying, why won't we talk about this? Why are they targeting us? Specifically being a party, a group, we as people, we want to be fighting for those who don't have voices, who are marginalized, who are targeted, and that is right now the disability community. If you're not perfect, that is not what we put value on. That's not what we say makes your life worth living. So I just want to say something. If you guys leave this room, if we can get rid of one word, okay? One word we have to get rid of is this idea of extreme. You notice we didn't really use it up here today, We're not saying that the Democrats have an extreme view on abortion. No. And you're not extreme for wanting to get rid of abortion. Like I said, you're compassionate, you're logical, you're medically and scientifically backed. If you want to talk about how dehumanizing and incompassionate it is, just look at this situation. You have Governor Ralph Northam and others who are so bought into an ideology that they can't even acknowledge that a baby born after maybe in a failed abortion attempt is worthy of giving treatment to. If you want to call something out of this world uncompassionate and dehumanizing, that's it. We can't even get, right now, pro-lifers, we've been fighting, you guys know this, for years, for what I would consider compromises. 20 weeks, when the baby can feel pain. Born alive, when the baby is born. And we can't even get a bipartisanship on that. So we are the ones that are willing to come to the table. We want to save them all, right? We want to save all of them. But we're willing to come to the table and say, all right, let's meet at 20 weeks. Let's meet at Heartbeat. Heartbeat for my baby girl was started at 22 days and detected at 6 weeks. So next time someone says, oh, maybe at Heartbeat, and they think it's 5 months long, let them know it started at 22 days. We are trying so hard to protect as many as we can so we can one day protect them all. And I'm proud, and that includes people with disabilities, the Black community, Hispanics, anything. We want to protect and take care and rescue them all.
All right, so we have a little bit more time left. If you guys could just talk a little bit about how you see us getting rid of abortion and maybe specifically what your groups do.
Yeah. Well, for us at Let Them Live, I am so proud to say that in the year we have been a nonprofit, we have helped 27 moms cancel their abortions. I did mention there's a baby due tonight. I am so excited. The mom we've been helping is holding on. We also have another baby due next week. And this shows me that coming alongside these moms and financially supporting them during their pregnancy is a huge way to attack the problem of abortion. 73% of women who get abortions do it because of financial instability. And that's from the Guttmacher Institute, and that number is huge. So we can address that problem. These abortions that are happening because of finances are 100% preventable. The lives that are being lost because a mom can't pay her rent, her child is not worth $500. Her child is priceless. Mm-hmm. So at Let Them Live, we don't put a price on her unborn child. We will help her no matter what, through it all, so that she can bring life into this world. And that's how we see that we can attack the problem of abortion at Let Them Live, and there's so many ways to do it. Live Action does an amazing job at educating people, and we can partner that way to change everybody's lives.
Yeah, beautifully said. We love what you guys are doing. And it's really neat to see different parts working together because there's so much great work happening. We at Live Action are dedicated, our founder and president, Lila Rose. How many know Lila? She's amazing. She's home with her beautiful newborn right now, so being, 100% pro-life too. But she's dedicated to exposing abortion and the abortion industry, and that's what our whole team is dedicated to. Every day, we're looking at news stories, we're looking at what's going on in culture to make people's hearts and minds change on abortion, because at our deepest intuition, we all are caring for human life. We all care about each other. We want people to live. Our instinct is to thrive and survive, and we want that for other people. So we do this by creating compelling content, capturing powerful stories of women like Kathy Barnett, who was born out of a hard case of rape, and yet is here today at CPAC, and is an amazing woman, sharing pro-life stories. And Live Action News is every day sharing what the mainstream media sometimes doesn't capture, which is inside some of these facilities and also what's going on in the pro-life movement. We know that if and when Roe v. Wade is overturned, which we're working on, that it will go back to the states. And at that point, it's not, Roe v. Wade being overturned, guys, is not our end-all, be-all. It goes back to the states, and you and we will have to work in our communities to win over people, to convince them that we're going to be able to take care of these children, these women, we can do it. And we're starting that now in partnership with other groups like Let Them Live and others to say, we're taking care of babies in our communities. Our state is not going to stand for this. And when it's really nice when we do change hearts and minds and we're seeing it happen every day, to then send them to someone says, all right, I chose life, who can I go to? And we have Emily, and we work that way. So I'm really excited. I think that we are going to be I want to be 80 years old and looking back and say, yeah, we did it. We ended abortion and we took care of them all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.